Hey Laowinners, it's Law86 with a very reluctant stream. I was going to make a normal video this week, but something happened and I felt like I had to address it. I'm going to start with this. Do you know when your friend is dating this girl, right? Or we can say a chick is dating a dude, and this person is absolutely batshit insane. Like, you see all the warning signs, but they're just kind of like in Stockholm syndrome. They're kind of like, they're in a relationship, they're happy to be dating, and you just see all these warning signs, like they're super aggressive towards them hanging out with his or her friends, that you have to answer their phone calls every single time. You got to text within 2 seconds of them texting, or else they get super jealous. All of these things, right? If you're in a situation like that and you see your friend like that and you give them their advice and you're like, yo, listen, I think this is a really bad idea. I think that you might want to reconsider this relationship. And then they continue to go through with it, and they're like, no, it's totally fine. We're going to work things out. Everything's getting better. It's totally fine. You're like, well, I actually don't think so. It looks like there's a lot of warning signs there. And at the end, the girl or the dude is in the street, like chopping up all their clothes with scissors and screaming like, you messed with the wrong girl, you broke my heart and all this kind of stuff. And at the end of that situation, because it's your friend, you want to say like, listen, I told you so. And you have a little bit of that schadenfreude in your heart. But at the same time, you care about them, right? You're like, in this scenario, I wish you had listened to me, but I know that you can get over this and everything is going to be okay. Just play it safe next time. Maybe take my advice next time. Well, this situation is not like that at all. So I don't even know why I use that analogy. This is a situation where I actually wish that I wasn't right. Roll the clip.
You can't take a tragedy and make people believe that that tragedy is, number one, not your fault, and number two, you should be patted on the back and celebrated for your stern leadership. And my fear is that when this does blow over, and when the CCP writes their books, their history books, they're also going to change other people's minds in other countries and romanticize authoritarianism. And we will look at the person that started the fire, the Chinese government that created this, and we will look at a lot of the world congratulating them on their containment methods. And if that shit spreads, it is a slap in the face if you see people around the world in freedom-loving countries congratulating authoritarian dictatorships in their leadership style and actually craving that sort of leadership style because of soft power and propaganda. That's a slap in the face of the Chinese people that left and tried to fight for their freedom in China.
I hope you guys enjoyed that little clip. I certainly didn't. I really wish that the predictions were not confirmed. I made those predictions very recently when I was on the road with Winston. We were doing a road trip and we made a pilgrimage to a Tiananmen Square massacre memorial. And long story short, pretty much everything that I predicted came true with a heavy heart. But I have to introduce you to a little system that I've created. Now, YouTube has been brutal with the whole demonetization thing. It's been 2 months now with absolutely no monetization. I'm of two minds on that. I've said this before. The fact that they're demonetizing videos around it, morally, I'm okay with it because it's kind of like no one should be profiting off of like tragedy. At the same time, it also de-incentivizes people like that want to talk about it. Like, I've watched a lot of YouTubers that I follow, not China-based YouTubers or anything, but YouTubers that I follow that really want to talk about it, but they're just completely self-censoring or just avoid it completely. And I think that's a huge disservice to people that want to express their opinion or maybe even give advice on the whole matter. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone that's like actually supporting me and Winston at this time. It's the only way we can actually do it, and we'll continue to do it with little breaks here and there if things slow down. Now, I'm actually going to do an experiment, though. And my experiment today is to create code words. Notice I haven't said any of those bad words yet. I've made a key here, and throughout the video, I'll be using these words. So get these in your brain right now. try to memorize these and understand what I'm trying to say, just so it doesn't trigger that whole YouTube algorithm. I think there's a 99% chance it doesn't even matter and I'll totally get demonetized, but this is an interesting thought experiment. So when we talk about the bad thing, the Voldemort of current situations, I'm going to be calling it the Modelo bug. I thought that was kind of appropriate. It's a little play on words there. Also, if I'm talking about that certain organization that we often criticize, I'm going to be calling it the communal fiesta of the Middle Kingdom, just to keep in line with that whole Modelo vibe, right? The leader, the great leader that we shall not mention, we cannot say his name. We will be calling him Shinny the Pooh. Also have a prop for that. I should have just worn the, look at what the green screen's doing this thing. I should just be wearing this, really. Shinny the Pooh. Instead of the, I guess I can translate into Chinese, Shay. That acronym, that 3-letter acronym over here, sorry, I'm backwards. Oh, I'm off the screen. I'm going to be calling it the what. And instead of a thing that's happening on this thing, I'm going to be calling it the worldwide spamtastic. I'm probably going to slip up a bunch of times. I'm going to try my best. And hopefully you understand what I'm trying to say. Trying to throw a little bit of humor and lightheartedness into the situation because it's a very, very heavy topic. Now, my friend Winston, would you mind playing that a little bit? We're going to go through this picture by picture with some evidence of what has happened, why I think this happened. But first I'm going to get into a piece of anecdotal evidence. Just pause that here. Now, this... Oh, sorry.
Coming back.
I should have given you a little more time in between the pictures. So with this is China Xinhua News. Now, my predictions were more in line with the whole, like, the Western world or the rest of the world is going to fall in line with Chinese propaganda. So when we look at this is Chinese state media. This is not a surprise to me, but I found this poll, like, delicious and hilarious, and just it tickled my fancy, but also made me really sad. So this one says, in China's fight against the what was it called again? Oh, the Modelo bug outbreak. Which part impresses you most? Hospital built in days, which was the clear winner of this poll. Solidarity amongst Chinese. Use of modern technology, or spirit of self-sacrifice. That seems like all completely positive scenarios surrounding this. And I found this poll the most self-serving thing I've ever seen, but it doesn't surprise me at all, like in the slightest, with state media like this. But the reason I brought this up was because state media obviously is going to first affect Chinese people in China. And my anecdotal evidence today was something that shocked me a little bit to the core. Not as much as the Western media kind of playing into the communal fiesta's hands, but more in line with that. I can't believe that Chinese people in China bought into this, especially amongst the lost generation, this quickly and so fervently. There was a bit of critique in the beginning about how the Modelo bug was being dealt with in China. And there was even, like, you would even see some whistleblower type people on Chinese media talking about how bad it actually is and how the cover-up really screwed everything over and how they're suffering and how they're running out of food and all this kind of stuff. But now that generation seems to be well in line with the communal fiesta's kind of word or the way they're portraying things. And my father-in-law this morning, I found this fascinating, said that it is confirmed that the Modelo bug not only originated in the U.S., but there were 5 different types of this Modelo bug in the U.S., and then one of them passed on to affect Chinese people in China. And he said that was demonstratively proven. Scientists have, qualified scientists have signed off on this idea. And my original prediction, or I should say my first video surrounding the Modelo bug kind of covered that, about how it was already America's fault. And it's now actually like the fiesta's rhetoric at this point, which I found fascinating. Head over to the next slide here. So then we had the what. We knew from the beginning, I think Winston and I think you'd agree with me, we were super confused and skeptical because we didn't have any inkling that the what was in the pockets of the fiesta at all.
Yeah.
You can hear him in the background. We really didn't have an inkling of that. It didn't make any sense as a global organization, right? So when we saw like evidence of this coming out, not from other people, but from what they were tweeting and what the actual official messages were to the rest of the world, we were shocked, because here we are, we have this like, global organization where many countries equally participate. And it seemed completely biased towards the communal fiesta. And it was shocking because we know how poorly the communal fiestas managed other things in the past, like the previous type of Modelo virus. I said virus. Oh. Computer virus. Yeah. I'm talking about computer viruses. The Modelo bug. The previous Modelo bug was an absolute shit show, and this one was as well. So we were kind of shocked to see the what's actually screwing up so badly on this. But even now, the tweets keep coming out continuously praising Shinny the Pooh, the communal fiesta, all this kind of stuff. And it's funny because they're getting like called out left and right, not only by us, but like by people all over the world. Even like news outlets that I don't even like or agree with are kind of ganging up on this idea that there's something really fishy going on here. But they continue with this. So it's clear that if we're playing chess here, like 4D chess or something, the communal fiesta is absolutely on top of whatever crap is being thrown at them or criticism is being thrown at them. The what doesn't actually care. It's more important to be in line with, the fiesta's rhetoric, and that kind of shocks me to the core. Head over to the next one. So again, that's a global thing, right? So again, there's some more, ass kissing here. They always use flags, which I thought was really interesting. So instead of saying China, they always use the flag, and they do that with all countries. And they do it for a lot of obscure countries that most people wouldn't even know. And I wonder if that's to like avoid something. I'm not sure. But these flag emojis, if you go and like count how many there are, they're usually surrounding how China has dealt with the Modelo bug like the best out of any place in the entire world. So I just wanted to point that out. And that's, it's continued. That was on March 8th, so that's still happening. Next up, we also have this, and this is, again, even when they're trying to talk about a place like South Korea, who, in my opinion, is up there, maybe top 3 countries that have dealt with the Modelo bug properly without like sacrificing human rights, right? That have actually dealt with that and, educated their citizens very quickly, much better than the U.S. is doing, in my honest opinion. Really dealing with it properly without welding people in their homes. They continuously use I can say China. I'm tripping up here. Yeah. They continuously use China as the prime example of how it was dealt with when it's very clear that that's not the case, right? And we'll just continue. I want to talk about something really serious. We don't need more of this man. I should have made a code word for this dude's name. Teddy Bear. Yeah. Okay, so this was my worry, is that yes, we already confirmed that the communal fiesta screwed up completely. They prosecuted and persecuted and disappeared people that were trying to make light of the situation. And that's what caused this to leave the borders of the Middle Kingdom, right? That's what caused this to go to all these other places. Yet it's kind of falling on deaf ears. Although the dialogue is still there, my prediction was that the general public that hasn't been up to date about this entire thing, without any chip on their shoulder or without any like preconceived notion of how China dealt with this, what happened was there was a massive, massive shift in the psyche or general zeitgeist. So when I checked my Twitter or my Instagram particularly, or my YouTube comments, a huge chunk, and I would say probably at least 40% of people, so maybe before it was like this outlier Wu Mao type, like 1%, 2% of haters, like 40% of people, including Westerners who follow me, started kind of towing this, right? So you see this, it says hospital built in days, takes months or years just to repair roads here, but we've got the Chinese building mega hospitals in 10 days. And that was to one of my posts from someone that obviously follows me. And that was something they latched onto when I posted that poll, which I found very interesting that was what they were impressed with. After the evidence came out that those mega hospitals were completely ill prepared to deal with anything. If they do have enough hospital beds, then why does the communal fiesta need to build these emergency facilities? When after they did that, a lot of them suffered immediate damage, were leaking, people were getting leaked on, people didn't have anywhere to urinate or defecate. Basically just breeding grounds for the Modelo bug. And this is what people are nowadays being impressed with after empirical evidence has come out that really didn't work as a containment method. And it was kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a very, very dire situation. Continue. That's a long one.
Yeah, it is the longest one so far.
So here we have this guy, and the reason I'm not censoring these people's names is because this is on a public forum, so they posted comments. I would never post them as direct messages. I hate when people, don't you find that repugnant when people use like DMs inside of videos?
Yeah, I'll never do that.
It's ridiculous. But these are public, right? So this guy says, still, no matter what you think about Still, no matter what you think about the communal fiesta of the Middle Kingdom, they were doing a great job now controlling the population, hence the bug. I know you don't like the communal fiesta of the Middle Kingdom, but even Xi Le, which is in Chinese, probably did some good things in Germany. Now, that's probably not something you can get away with saying nowadays anyway, but likening two positives when both are negatives, I found abhorrent. But this was a really common type of rhetoric, and this is not someone that's like some brainwashed hater, nationalist in China. This is somebody that seemed like has a relatively normal post history, a relatively normal, well-adjusted person. And this is the kind of thing, is if you're not paying attention from day one all the way up until now, the whole timeline of the situation, all the screw-ups and the continual screw-ups, you're going to be in this position where you might have a favorable view, almost a favorable view of how the communal fiesta actually dealt with the Modelo bug, when in fact it was abhorrent, and that's why we have it in our borders nowadays, right? Continue. Giving this guy a lot of face too. Okay, so this was something I found very interesting. And it was, I'm not going to call it evidence. I'm not going to be one of those guys that, I found the best evidence of this. I'm going to prove my point. But I found this very interesting. Now, when the What put out all of the what you should and shouldn't do in the Modelo bugs situation, if you're trying to deal with the Modelo bug, what you should and shouldn't do. And I found it interesting when I was reading the English version of it. It says, smoking obviously is harmful. It's going to damage your lungs, right? Make you more susceptible to this. Taking traditional herbal remedies, because the What should be a very educated organization that helps people stay healthy, right? They're not endorsing homeopathy or something like this. Wearing multiple masks, obviously, is worse than wearing one. And taking self-medication such as antibiotics. Antibiotics only work on bacteria, not on bugs, particularly this bug, which we don't have a cure for yet. Now, it's very interesting. If you go to the Spanish one, which I looked at the Japanese one, I looked at the Korean one, obviously translated them, and they're identical, as they should be, right? It's just a direct translation of the original message in English. But if you go, or if you went, I should say, if you went to the Chinese version of it, they removed taking traditional herbal remedies, which I found very fascinating, that for some reason, Chinese people in mainland China, Chinese people, they're totally fine if they take herbal remedies and like witchcraft medicine. They don't need to follow like actual science or Western medicine or actual medicine, medical practices. They don't need the advice that drinking some tea or eating some bones or monkey paws or something like this. They don't need that advice. They don't need it because that actually might work for them. They have different bodies than us. And it's really in line with the very old logic. Again, not to like talk about my father-in-law, but you know, he's convinced that the reason that Western people, not even Western people, black, white, brown, anyone other than Chinese people can eat a lot of meat or traditionally ate a lot of meat is because our intestines are longer, so it gives it more time for the proteins and all the stuff in the meat to actually digest. And it's actually a very popular belief amongst that generation because they didn't go to science class, they don't understand basic biology, and they still believe in qi, like real mystical things you might see in anime, basically, like really fervently believe that stuff to the point where he's got a cold right now. But he just thinks his qi is too cold, right? So
I think you're forgetting one important thing is that the CCP's been pushing the idea that TCM can work. Remember, there's that whole rush on a specific kind of traditional medicine because it was reported that
yeah, absolutely. So it was actually to their detriment, right? Like there was the communal fiesta, I think you meant.
Sorry, my
it's okay. It's quiet, probably. Yeah. It's just background noise, the radio. Yeah. The communal fiesta actually publicly endorsed using an herbal remedy. Yeah. And actually said it was a cure.
Yeah.
Not even for treatment, it was a cure, right? And it was herbs, right? Some sort of herbal
I don't
remedy.
even know what it is, but
It was definitely TCM.
yeah.
Traditional Chinese medicine. So they actually endorsed this, and then I think it was in Hong Kong, which ironically practices a good bit of traditional Chinese medicine. Hong Kong people are like, "Are you absolutely out of your mind?" You know, because they've grown up and gone to school properly and learned about these things. So anyway, the idea of TCM, or traditional Chinese medicine, usually has been that it's not to cure something, it's to prevent something through a holistic approach, which, whether you believe that or not, it doesn't really matter. There's probably some merit to some of the herbs that were discovered that helped some symptoms, right? But when you go to a place like Japan or Hong Kong, they don't use it as like a complete 100% cure for every ailment, right? What they do in China with a poorly educated older generation is they use it as the be-all and end-all of everything. So when the Wat actually put this out, I was very surprised after that whole thing, after so much backlash happened because of that.
Well,
right?
They obviously just want to keep currying favor with the powers that be, and they're masters, basically.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, it's almost like you can't look at everyone on the board of the Wat and point blame, because at this point it's probably just so well entrenched in the communal fiesta.
Don't do anything that's going to upset China, whatever you do.
I mean, you're talking about this earlier, and I'll let you save that for your video, but how many illnesses, viruses, ailments were named after either the person or the place that they came from?
Yeah.
And yet it's been the prerogative over calling this a, what do we call it instead of a...
I don't know, a big splattering or whatever you said. Spam.
Oh, the spamtastic, earth spamtastic or whatever. Before this turned into that, everyone was begging the Wat to just declare that so that governments around the world could legally and actually, work together to actually kind of stop this spread. Yeah. So in the beginning, when you had the Wat say, listen, don't shut off air travel from China. That's terrible. That's like derogatory. That's bad. That's, what's it called? Discriminatory. It's racist, right? Throw the R word out there. Yeah. They use all of these words to make people feel really bad about it, like it's not that big of a deal. And then just today, just now they declared it a spamtastic world phenomenon, or whatever I decided to call it. Yeah. Just now, when in fact it was well known that it had already spread all around the globe, right? It's literally everywhere at this point. And
they got some in South Africa now.
Right.
Yeah.
So I found it fascinating that this is, I think, a real good piece of anecdotal evidence that you might be able to kind of take in yourself and make your own conclusions of. But apparently Chinese people are more apt to be cured by traditional herbs. Mm-hmm. You aren't, if you're not Chinese. Only in mainland China, too. Yeah. Okay, so we knew this was going to come. I just thought it would come a little bit later. Now, the whole soft power that's coming out of the Middle Kingdom right now, I could say China, is Shinny the Pooh is now going to the actual places where it started, right? I'm not going to say the name. Wearing the mask, going out in public, after being gone for 6 weeks, right? So they're now using phrases. What is it? He's like a
newborn. No, he has
the
pure heart of a newborn child.
So they are now using the phrase that Shinny the Pooh has the pure heart of a newborn child. I wanted to throw this out there that I love my babies, obviously.
Yeah.
But newborns are probably the most devious and evil creatures in the world, in that they are just trying to survive. They're like pure narcissistic and selfish. Cry to get what they want, get fed, hold me, give me comfort. So if you're calling him that, then he's just like a spoiled little brat, right?
Most narcissistic person in the world.
Exactly, but I think it goes along with the whole baby worship that happens in China.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, people will like hang up cartoon babies on their wall because they just loved kids. They absolutely love kids like that. I think they're good luck. Now, I go to the next slide. We knew this was going to happen. Now, he's now showing, like I said, Shinny the Pooh is now showing up in public. For PR purposes, absolute political move. Why do you think he wasn't there for the first 6 weeks, right? He sent out his little cohorts all out to go deal with stuff. They're not actually dealing with anything, but to be in public, right? I'm not going to speculate that he had the Modelo bug, but what I will say is that he was very much protected and worried about going out in public during this scenario, which kind of insinuates how serious it actually was. And the fact that he's going out there now to kind of set the groundwork, place the bricks down for the victory dance, basically. So much so that in the next slide, you'll see something alarming. And this is something I predicted last week, which I find just unbelievable. I'll skip this one, sorry. That's out of order, I apologize. Come back to that in a minute.
Eventually.
Okay, so much so that they are actually using Western. We know this whole white monkey thing. I'm not calling this guy a white monkey, but if a foreigner does a job to promote something in China just because of their race, that is called a white monkey job. We've covered it many times. ADV China, my channel, whatever. They're actually using this lookalike dude who I think actually had innocent trappings. Like he was there, he was in the place where the Modelo bug happened. And I think he has innocent and feelings about this whole thing. But then CCTV and state media jumped on him, right, and just made it a huge propaganda piece. So you can play this. So if you haven't been to China, you wouldn't know that Mr. Bean is like the most popular thing ever. Like people love Mr. Bean because they love slapstick stuff. They like the facial expressions, And so now they're using him, going and filming him as to why he stayed in this place where it happened, because he doesn't want to betray people, and how good the communal fiesta is taking care of the Modelo bug, how awesome everything is, and how everything is going to be just fine. Not pointing any fingers at this dude, but the fact that he's on the top level of state media is shocking. Like, these are their spokespeople, right? These are the spokespeople because they're still there, and they serve to absolutely push the narrative of the communal fiesta that everything is going to be totally fine. Not only that, but everything's fine. The communal fiesta dealt with it in China better than any country in the world. It's almost completely gone. Everyone should go back to work because they don't want to slow the economy. And now it didn't even come from the Middle Kingdom. It didn't come from China. There are documents now saying that it should be renamed the Japan bug or the Italian bug, right? When it's already been proven that the people that came from the epicenter of this Modelo bug had gone to Italy, and they were patient zero in this scenario. They are turning it to where they say in labs within China, they discovered other strains because people came back to China and synthesized the DNA of the actual bugs and found that no, it didn't come from here, which is absolute hypocrisy and lies. But it's unashamed. I don't know even how to say how ridiculous that is that people are buying into this. I know that the lost generation of China would buy into something like that, which was evident today with the conversation with my father-in-law. But the fact that Westerners are doing this is absolutely insane. So we have Western media right here. Shinny visits the epicenter, signaling tide turning in China's Modelo bug battle. These are everywhere, all over my newsfeed right now. And again, this is stuff that was pretty critical of the communal fiesta in the beginning that is now just changing its entire opinion on the whole thing. And I think it actually goes along with the fact that Western journalism, although flawed in many ways, has to use empirical data. And if China is not reporting cases, honestly, and they're actually just saying it's completely gone, then that's pretty much what they're going to report on, right? My message is I think it's going to completely backfire. A lot of scientists and pandemologists, I think that's a safe word, actually say that now that people are going back to work, we're going to see a second absolutely massive explosion of this whole thing. And I don't want to be a paranoid Polly, but I think that probably that will happen. Again, there's a whole document that you can actually look up about how the communal fiesta has said, this is how the West is going to have to report on this from now on. This is our directive, and we need to do everything to make that happen. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll make another prediction, I think Winston would agree. In the next month or so, you'll probably see a lot more of these useful idiot types come out of the woodworks, or even just kind of up their ante in the way that China's dealing with this whole thing and be really super positive about it, completely ignoring the fact that where it came from, why it happened, and who the responsibility should be taken by. So continue. Now, I think the next slide is something worrying. Winston had a good piece on how the monitoring and the whole kind of 1984 scenario kind of blossomed right before he left, right? Would you say that was true? Yeah. It's kind of like really piled on towards the end. Sure. And in this case, the Modelo bug really worked out in their favor to the point where they've developed AI systems to be able to see people's face behind masks. Ironically, they banned masks in Hong Kong during the protests, and I guess that kind of backfired. But here we go. We have this surveillance monitoring system that's become so robust and so powerful that because it's kind of already been implemented, and because there is such a bad Modelo bug type spamtastic event, because of this, they're going to allow it to stay, and nobody can say anything about it anyway, but they won't, because they're going to say, you know what? This is what keeps us safe. This monitoring kind of ecosystem that China now has has become the norm, and it will be the norm, because they can say, we're going to prevent, look at how well we dealt with this, we're going to prevent something like this in the future, which is very worrying. So worse before better is my conclusion on that one. And again, we still have really new, this is March 9th, right? The what is continually, even in live interviews, not through tweets from Teddy Bear, live interviews completely kissing the ass of the communal fiesta about this entire thing. And it's just nauseating to me that people are actually buying it. So take everything with a grain of salt for sure.
It's a long one.
Yeah, it's long. Okay, now this is probably my favorite and least favorite at the same time. So they've already begun writing the book. And when I said in my last week's video at the Tiananmen Square massacre thing, I kind of used it hypothetically as it when China writes the book after all this has happened. Well, they already started writing the book, and it's not over yet, right? They're writing a book about how Shinny himself, this might be a new Mao's little red book in a way, faced with the biggest crisis in the history of modern China. He had dealt with it correctly, and they're the model leadership model of the entire world for future spamtastic events like this. And I can't believe that they would go, I would wait a little while before putting that out. Like it's still ravaging the world, yet they are so apt to put that out there, publicly and kind of say like, get ready for this amazing book. You can't write a book when something hasn't been dealt with yet. And you probably shouldn't write a book like a how-to. You wouldn't go to like, what is that, WikiHow or whatever, and read somebody's entry about how to, I don't know, what's a good example?
Cure cancer.
Okay, I was going to say you wouldn't read someone's WikiHow from a blind person about how to read with your eyes from a book.
Right. That's better.
You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense, right? So it's the same scenario here. So yeah, they actually did write the book, and there was another one of my predictions. Again, I don't want to say I told you so, but it happened. Continue. Oh, this is just a blurb about the book. Very proud of it. They're very proud about this book. And I think this is my last piece here. Another piece of evidence as to how the what is deeply entrenched into the communal fiesta is that before, when you went to this Johns Hopkins website, which we found not at all useful for monitoring China, because you have to trust state data at that point. But to monitor the cases coming out in different countries, and they actually have a cool map where you can pinpoint where, how many people have recovered versus active cases. Again, just ignore the huge circle over China at this point. But when you went there before, Taiwan was an example. They have relatively low cases. And before it said Taiwan, and before actually the what called it Taiwan as well. And now you can see that they have named it, if you look up here on the top, Taipei and Environs China. Now, they didn't even go the Chinese Taipei route like when they do the Olympics. They went the Taipei China route, which is the ultimate slap in the face. First, they don't let them into the what. They have tons of good research labs there, tons of good scientists and doctors that really want to chip in, tons of petitions around the world to let them in and participate so that they can help this stuff. And they've dealt with it wonderfully. They've dealt with it since December. And look at the amount of, this is a densely packed island. You've been all over it with me.
Yeah.
It's a densely packed island where a lot of people are in close contact. There are wet markets, there's night markets, there's all these very public events, but they did it and contained it through education, through sanitation, through proper distribution, through not cooperating with China in this
what
area.
actually helped a lot was the fact that China banned their citizens from traveling there.
Huge backfire for them, right?
Huge thing, yeah. It was an economic sanction kind of a thing.
It was. So China punished Taiwan, and
but
Taiwan
it ended up saving Taiwan.
It saved Taiwanese people's lives, right? And not to mention the amazing efforts on the ground.
Oh,
right?
Of course.
Very moral public, very charitable public. Mm-hmm. People that were, making sure that the masks were being manufactured on site, make sure that everyone has enough sanitizer, things like that, right? So the fact that they did this was interesting. Now, you would think, the Johns Hopkins University, why would they change it? Well, they got tweeted at, and I think it's on the next slide. They got tweeted at basically saying, we follow the what, right? We don't make up our own definitions, right? So somebody actually said, oh, we're going to change it back because people are really pissed off, right? The Johns Hopkins University is going to change it back to Taiwan. Sorry about that. But nope. They got retweeted back and they said, no, we're going to follow the what guidelines and we're going to keep it Taiwan, China, Taipei, China, which I found really, really horrible. And this is not the time for like political delineation or like butting heads over stupid territorial with testing and everything. Allow them to be on the board to actually talk about this. Maybe we can learn something from them, because right now from the what, we're learning nothing. We're just hearing party rhetoric, fiesta rhetoric from this whole thing. It's a detriment to the world because it's how it started. It's how it's chat, because again, it's the only way we can actually make this happen. Thank you so much. Matthew Nugent, thank you. I like your little pear emoji. Trevor travels the world. Would you and Winston do a joint stream with Mr. Matoker? Do you know who that is?
No idea.
Why don't you come in?
All right, I'll join you for the Q&A.
Special guest. I guess you guys probably would never guess that Winston is here. You would
never
know, right?
Don't forget to catch us tomorrow.
Yeah, I already said that.
I know.
Thank you for drilling it. You got to
drilling it in.
Beer money. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Already going here. Actually, we're off the beer for a while, but we'll put it in the pot.
Gotta lose weight.
Yeah. Trying to lose a little bit of weight. You know why? It was this KFC donuts. Seriously, if you haven't watched us, on ADV China, we actually ate KFC chicken in between two donut buns. It's one of the worst things I've ever eaten.
I've never been. This is the fattest I've ever been in my life. Actually,
me too. Hands down.
Since coming to America, the food's just too good.
Right.
It's just too good.
Absolutely.
Anyway, please, let's get to your next question.
Yes. For ad compensation since I block. Well, that's your choice. I understand. Thank you very much. And I appreciate that. Wish I could give you more, but who knows if I won't be able to work soon. Keep up the great work.
Yeah. No, we understand. It's a tough time for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, like, for us to cover this, right?
Yeah.
Where's the next one? Okay, gotta translate this. I'll translate it for you guys. If this epidemic really comes from gotta change this. Like a grocery store, an outdoor grocery store.
An outdoor market.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. I guess we didn't
say the wet part, so.
We did now. Why is this bad thing not happening every single year, and why is there no cure yet? And how do you think we should fight this really bad thing right now? Do you think there will be a really big bad thing happening in Medela bug bad thing happening in the U.S.? And that's it for that one.
I have to tell you one thing. You know that these viral outbreaks, I was going to talk about it on Friday, but I'll just throw in a bit now. They happen often in China, and I experienced one myself.
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously I was there during the second sort of SARS run and all that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the old Medela bug.
Yeah, the old Medela bug. But when I was studying at the Shenzhen University, there was a breakout of the what's it called, the Novo
bug.
The Novo bug, or whatever it is, that affected the entire university, and we were told that we weren't allowed to eat at certain canteens. We had to wash our hands. We had to take extra caution. I mean, it doesn't make the news, but the entire university was brought to its knees from a virus. And they do happen all the time. But usually they just kind of... I got to say, in China, when bugs go around, people just kind of let their bodies take care of it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like let it burn through the populace and then it's gone.
Right.
That's kind of usually how it's dealt with.
Right.
And they'll just take TCM or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it does happen very often.
Right. The what and the cure need to get together and sing a song that will fix the world. I agree.
That's a good idea.
I feel like Teddy's not a good singer though.
No. My father-in-law was singing that song to my daughter.
Yeah, because I feel like you were playing it.
Well, I mean, I was editing my video and he must have just picked it up, but now I've heard him a couple of times sing the "Wo Ai Beijing Tiananmen" song to my daughter.
If you guys want to hear the best song ever, just go on YouTube and type in like "I the best." Seriously.
Everyone has to be super careful, and it's
particularly people with health problems.
I'm sorry, but like here in the States, you know, we go to the shops, we go around, and everyone's just oblivious as if nothing has changed.
Right.
And it's a dangerous attitude to have.
It is.
It's you got to be more careful with this going around. You know?
I guess people are not used to this kind of thing just ravaging.
It's also been misinformation.
That's also
been played
true.
down from day one,
right?
And that's the thing. So people would have heard, oh, there's this new thing. Don't worry, the flu's worse, and that kind of sticks in their brain.
Right.
And so they're out there, and they're like, someone mentions it, they're like, oh, don't worry, you know, you more chance of dying from the flu or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly.
People are dumb.
People are dumb, but they also trust, authorities, unfortunately, too much.
Yeah.
Right. Keep informing us. Thank you so much. A817, thank you. Anton Kim, keep it up. We absolutely will. Thank you. And that's so generous. Thank you so much. Detroit, fist bump for you. Dion Chapman says, here's to the communal fiesta protection.
Nice.
We should make that a thing.
You can make it a thing. I'll just call it what it is.
Yeah. I know, but it's a good thought experiment. Let's see if it actually works, right? We didn't drop it. We didn't drop the C-bomb.
It's not going to work, man. Like, even my videos have got nothing to do with
I said I'd give it a 99% chance not working.
Yeah, we'll see.
But it would be amazing if it did. Thanks for talking about this. I think you should reach out to Eric Weinstein about getting on that portal, and discussing this whole thing would get you on a lot of right people's radars.
Is that Harvey's son or something?
I don't know, but
He's
I'll
just
definitely
gotten
Google it.
some years, hasn't he?
Got like 23 years in Rikers, dude. That's a pretty rough jail.
Well, if you're going to be a gross dude.
Absolutely. I didn't say I feel bad for him.
Okay, sure.
I should say rotten peace.
Yeah.
Beverly Weber, thank you for keeping us informed. Awesome. Thank you very much. Heath Runyon, just go on a beer diet. You know what's bad about that, though, is when you drink beer, you get hungry.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
I just eat too much.
You just die.
Then it's like
But
hot
thank you for
pretzels and,
yeah, all that bad stuff. Angel
Cream cheese.
Cervantes says, have a not Modelo beer.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We were just in your country, and we had both of these kinds. Yeah. And we enjoy them very much.
Fantastic time, by the way.
Yes.
Love Mexico.
Super cool. Cliff Lee, seriously though, I'm convinced that this virus fixes China's demographic problem caused by the one-child policy, and they're just going to let it run and continue to report nearly zero deaths. There's probably a tiny little bit of truth to that, but for the most part, I don't think anyone knew this
There have
was
been
coming.
some conspiracy theories that it was like done on purpose, but it's a bunch of nonsense.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean, we say that, though, and then we have the state, the communal fiesta right now, saying that it didn't come from there now. Yeah. Talk about conspiracy. That's just blatant lies.
Yeah,
right?
no, I mean, that's just...
After they've confirmed where... Remember, the first thing they wanted to throw under the bus wasn't Beijing, it was the epicenter, right? So they're like, we've confirmed through lab testing, like, it definitely came from here, and blah, blah, blah. And now they're like, no, actually, it didn't.
Nope.
They flip-flopped like 8 times.
Yeah, it's so silly.
Philip, hello, Lawai. Have you thought about the impact of the Modelo bug will have on politicians and world leaders with the high mortality rate for old people? I think that the people in leadership right now, they're not dumb. They're going to protect themselves the most.
Yeah,
right?
the people in leadership, I think what he's saying is like here in America, everyone's a bloody geriatric. Everyone's ancient.
Right.
Why have you got these freaking walking corpses kind of trying to run the country?
You know what? I think it's very similar in multiple places. I mean, the communal fiesta is very much the same in a lot of positions. That being said, I do know exactly what you're saying. If you're looking at the current ballot
Dude,
for the election, it's
what's
like...
going on here?
Why did all the young people drop out? And I'm not talking about young, like even in their 50s at least, not like 80,000.
Why would you want to elect someone who's probably going to die of like a heart attack if a breeze like
and it's
blows
happened
over
before in office, you know?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Nobody breathe on the current candidates.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Elect us. I don't want to be president.
No.
Tomato Gal, thank you for all the info. Keep up all your hard work. You fellows are the best thing on YouTube, and that gives us so much hope because
thank you.
We have been getting... I'm not going to get into it. Just we've been getting lambasted left and right.
It's normal. You get these waves of hate. They come and go. No, it's a particularly bad one at the moment, but we weather the storm as always because that's what we do. Why do you think
always stay awesome?
Been on YouTube for 12 years doing what I do.
Exactly. There's 2 things we stay. We stay awesome, we stay fat.
Yeah.
That's what we
these
do.
days.
Vampire Knight, thank you again. Why is it an entirely new strain of bug this time? I need more American opinions. This topic is on WeChat and at no free speech there. Are you insinuating that there's different strains around the world? Because there is absolutely no proof of that at the moment. And I won't reply to the last thing, and it's not out of disrespect for you. It's just because, and I understand that if you're in China, you would like to see us talk to someone like that, but we won't do it because it's been malicious and pure vitriol from the other side.
There's no reason to do it. There's no need to respond to people that attack your character and attack...
because there's no debate anymore.
Yeah.
You've already made us look worthless and absolute garbage and completely demeaned us.
So why is it that you have
Why
to...
would I talk to that person?
It's stupid. Why would you try to defend yourself against someone who speaks untruths? It's
Right.
like on a kindergarten playground
Right.
and someone says, "Oh, you smell bad," and then you have to say, "No, I don't smell bad," and then everyone's like, "Ha, you smell bad." It's like, it's stupid.
Right.
So if someone says, "Oh, you smell bad," just ignore them.
Exactly.
Let them
and put
think
on
that.
some deodorant.
Who cares? Like,
Right.
Who cares if you smell bad anyway? It's
That's
like,
true.
It's up
It's
to
your
you, right?
choice, right?
Let them stay away from you.
Yeah, and become like a hikikimori or something.
Yeah, hikikomori, yeah.
Gareth Evans, can we start calling the leader of the what? Trigger for being a little slow. Bless Dr. Trig. That's kind of cool.
Okay, Trig.
He wasn't on the trigger, that's for sure.
No, that's right, yeah.
KFC donut was sea beanus and blood sausage. That
Yeah.
sounds awful.
That's
We've
terrible.
eaten all those things.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We can now check those all off.
That donut thing was so ridiculous. It made me feel so sick. You know when you've just eaten too much sweet stuff and it kind of gives you a headache?
Right.
Yeah.
You know when we ate like sea penis and all those really horrible things, amongst all the great Chinese food we ate.
Sure.
Of course, we got to find some weird stuff. When you eat those, you're repulsed. Like
Yeah.
you're visibly like this is your stomach's turning. You kind of feel like you're gonna puke. You gag a little bit. With the KFC donut thing, it wasn't like that. It was like just immediate regret and not wanting to do it.
Because you know you've just like gained 10 pounds.
Right. It's much healthier to eat sea penis than that.
It totally is healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grady Gillis, no question. Too damn tired to think of one. Just use this as you. Thank you, Grady. You've always been there for us. Matt, our guitar. Thank you so much. I like the flying pair. Almost done here. New Zealand currently only has 5 cases and praying it stays that way. We've only got 4.6 million and need them all. Lol. You should come here sometime. We plan on going to New Zealand. It's beautiful. I really hope that your current government does not capitulate to this whole scenario because it doesn't have a good track record recently.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, it looks like New Zealand's going the way of Australia, and it might just become another
worse.
Chinese colony if you don't watch out. You know.
Right. Jensen Heaton, music. What do you think is happening to the economies of the world? Do you think the borders will be closed everywhere? Honestly, after living in China, it's surprising how ignorant some people are out west. I think that because today it was declared a spamtastic event by the what, I think that a lot more legal action will be taken. A lot more corporations will have to kind of follow that to avoid lawsuits in the future.
Yeah.
Because they will be now potentially held responsible in court if anything happens to someone because they were allowed to travel.
Yeah.
I think you'll see a ton more. I don't think it'll all be shut down like that app where you spread the bug around.
Oh yeah.
Plague is okay.
Plague, yeah.
Plague is okay.
Yeah.
Plague Inc.
Plague Inc. Yeah.
Which was banned in China.
It's banned, yeah.
That's just the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't think you'll see absolute border closings a la Plague Inc. I think what you'll see is huge scrutiny at the borders. And I think you'll see a lot of people that don't even want to travel at this point.
Absolutely. Like, seriously, best advice ever. Just don't do any unnecessary travel at the moment.
Yes. And other than people, the second biggest casualty is going to be the economy. I mean, you've already seen it.
The stock market's
collapsed.
tumbling, which I'll be honest, I don't really have much thoughts on that because I've always been against it. It's kind of like gambling to me. So
sure, you understand why it exists, but you don't participate.
I don't participate, but
right.
It's awful that so many people are losing money. But at the same time, when we started talking about this literally a month before the stock market started to crash, if people were smart, they would have started to move their
Not because we're experts, because we knew what was going to happen. It was very clear from the beginning.
And all of a sudden, all the stock markets were just going up.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, hey, we better try and pad this.
Inject, yeah.
People should have seen that and pulled out and at least put their money into something a little bit more stable, like just in the bank.
You wouldn't believe how much money people I know in China right now are making off of the stock market in China. Yeah. They're like super pumped because the government's injecting nuts.
So much.
I don't want to say I can't wait, but I can't wait just to see what kind of impact that's going to have economically. Yeah. You can't do that continuously, right? Without complete, bubbles forming.
Yeah, well, I mean, it already is a big bubble.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is going to be the one that pops it. YouTube started to monetize selected content creators covering this Modelo bug. Guessing only established news outlets and favored YouTubers. Interesting.
Yeah.
So sorry, JPN. I'll have to look into that. I'm curious about that. Actually, what's his name? Ethan on H3 Podcast. He was like, don't say it, like when his wife was going to say it. And I guess he insinuated that he knew something. He's like, well, you can say it in passing, is what YouTube told him, I guess.
Okay.
You can say it in passing, but you can't talk about it exclusively.
Right. That makes sense.
Luis Estrada flew in from China to America. 4 more days left in the blocked off zone, and I'm good. I've been sending my temperature to health official every day. Keep it up. Awesome. And thank you for doing a good job and being fantastic, morally responsible. Yeah. The other day I was on Reddit. This is the last aside I'll throw in. Mm-hmm. Something where even if like all hell breaks loose in the U.S., that proves that there's good people. There was a forum post, and I actually saw a few of these. There was one in Washington where it's taken off up there. There's one in L.A. where we are, and there's one in other places. And people were volunteering to go to people's houses and said, listen, all you have to do is DM me your address. Tell me what you need from CVS or Walgreens or whatever. I will drop off any over-the-counter medicine, any food you need, and I'll do it free of charge, but you just have to just Venmo me or PayPal me what it costs.
Right.
And I'm willing to do this for everyone in this neighborhood. And everyone's signing up. They're like, I'll do it in this neighborhood. I'll do it in this neighborhood.
That's nice.
That does not happen in China.
No.
And that's my point, is that there's already a society in a lot of these countries where people are altruistic enough to take things in their own hands.
American people are the most charitable in the world, and I've seen that firsthand living here now. All the charity drives you see everywhere,
Right.
all the food banks, all the goodwill donations.
Right, that doesn't exist in China.
No, none at all. I mean, seriously, it doesn't. And if it ever exists, it always ends up being corrupt.
Right, so
It's always a bad situation. I'm sorry to say that people with the best intentions can start something like that in China, but it always ends up being
embezzlement.
burned so
Oh
many
yeah,
times.
I know. You get sour. You get
Yeah.
really sour. I guess my whole point of that is I don't think people in the U.S. and let's say in European countries as well don't completely trust the institutions at hand. They're very critical of their governments. Therefore, people are willing to be moral human beings to actually go out and help people.
Yeah.
That's already in the seeds of people, right? Doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity, your culture. People are willing to help each other.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
What's it called? Jeremiah Johnson. Good job, boys. Here are some muns for more silver bullets.
Love silver bullets, man.
I mean, I can tolerate
We
them.
did that taste test where we took
We took the lowest end beers.
we took a Coors Light, a Bud Light,
Miller Lite and Bud Light.
Is a Miller Light?
Yeah.
And Coors Light's definitely the best.
If you're gonna go like super uber cheap, that was
Coors
the
Light,
best.
dude, it's
That was
totally the best. The Miller Light to me was the worst.
Oh, and I thought we both agreed that Bud Light was the worst.
Maybe I was drunk.
Okay.
How do you guys like this background, by the way? It's pretty cool. I filmed that myself.
Wasn't I there?
No.
Oh, okay.
Now this is one of my 10-minute outings.
Oh,
where
it's
I
one of
go-
those bad boys.
Go to various places and just film.
Yeah.
It's a good night.
Yeah, nice. He finished off with "Can't wait for more worthless whips." Take care. We're currently working on the next full episode, which I hope you guys are
Yes,
interested
please
in.
bear with us.
Yeah.
If you're on the Worthless Whips Patreon, you would have seen we've released a little thing
Yeah,
explaining
on the
what's
road.
going on. We are going to do just a kind of a fun little joke Worthless Whips video, just a small thing.
To tide everyone over. Yeah.
Yeah, which will probably release by the end of the week if all goes well.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Days. William Swenson, how is the situation in the Chinese countryside? That's where you're going to see the least amount of information coming out of, and I think it's very dire in a lot of these places where these blockades are being set up, a lot of people beating each other up,
Yeah.
tied up,
Yeah, no,
like a lot of atrocious things. I think it's quite bad, but again, I can't. There's not that much information coming out.
Correct, yeah.
Beyond the Pale, showing my support for all you do. Stay awesome. You too, man. If you're a man, sorry. Alexander Hamilton, just pull Winston into the stream. Well,
Here I
he's
am.
sitting right here. That was probably a little while
Yeah,
ago.
that was earlier, yeah.
Nutrition, stay awesome. You too, Nutrition. Nutrition is awesome. It is.
Certainly is, yeah.
You don't want to be malnourished. Then
You
you'll get
don't
the
wanna
Medela
be-
bug.
Don't want to be as nourished as we are at the moment.
We're too nourished.
Yeah.
I never heard of it like that.
Yeah.
Jan, thank you so much for bringing the truth to the world. A lot of support from Slovenia. Thank you very much. I've been to Slovenia. In Aulblibloplorpli. Here in Oregon, the local government is more concerned about people being racist by not going to Asian restaurants than they actually are about the virus. Sounds like Oregon to me.
No, honestly,
Sounds like Portland.
that's what's been annoying me about this whole thing is that common sense is once again being overridden by this PC nonsense. It's not racist to take extra precautions. And
Right.
when you know that a certain demographic of people, in this case Chinese people coming from China, where this Modelo bug started from, and that they potentially have made contact with their friends and relatives and so on
That have visited.
very recently, especially during the travel during the New Year, it is not racist to take extra precautions.
I'm
You
not
know?
going to counter that, but I'm going to add an addendum. People right now are terrified, especially around the Washington area. So Oregon's right below that, right? I think people are probably not just avoiding Asian restaurants. They're probably a lot of people are avoiding just going out in massive crowds. I'm not going to go hang out in the park in some like festival right now.
No,
right?
No, you don't do that.
So again, if people are avoiding anything, you can't turn that on racism without empirical evidence that there's a certain restaurant that's booming,
Yeah.
and then this Asian restaurant's not at all. I think everyone, and unfortunately, it's going to be at the cost of the economy, especially short term. But people should be avoiding going and potentially spreading this.
Yeah, just
right?
stay away from big crowds.
It doesn't matter who or where.
I'd like to quickly point out once again how China dealt with the H1N1.
Right.
Remember that virus?
Bug.
The bug. Sorry, my mistake. Is what they ended up doing was they quarantined every single Mexican citizen that was in China at the time. They blocked all direct flights to Mexico. You know, they rounded people up in their hotels and wherever and took them in, like detained them for testing and stuff. They refused visas. They deported a bunch of people. You know, now you want to talk racism. Now that's
targeted.
That's like, oh, you're a Mexican citizen. Doesn't
and
matter.
They have all your information. They know how to find you.
Doesn't matter if you've had anything to do or any contact or anything. If you've been living in the country for the last 10 years, it doesn't matter. Oh, you're Mexican, so you potentially carry this bug. So we're going to kick you out or quarantine you or whatever. So don't come with this crap about being racist towards Asian stuff, because, you know, if you want to see full actual racism in action, just go look and see what China did.
Go to mainland China, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, again, like, it was racist for them to do that to Mexicans, but when the Modelo bug came out from China, and then the rest of the world says, maybe we should block flights, we should be extra careful, they're like, this is race, this is unnecessary. It's just a screaming baby. It's, you know what it is? It's Shinny the Pooh with a pure newborn heart.
But you know what's really ridiculous is now they're blocking and quarantining people flying in from outside, from Italy and stuff.
But it's only like a slap. You know what I mean? It's just like, look at, we can do it too.
Yeah.
You know
Well, what I'm saying is, again, it's just double standards, you know?
It is. That's what I'm saying. Chris Partlow, thank you so much for what you do. In Ohio, our government is being proactive, going as far to limit attendance at the Arnold last week. The disease is poo. That's good, though. I'm glad to hear like local governments doing stuff.
I've seen they've been canceling a lot of
a lot of universities as well,
and like these
great
events like mobile, electronic get-togethers, extravaganzas,
Right, and it wasn't through very coercive means that everyone's celebrating. Look at how well China dealt with it. Look at South Korea. Look at Taiwan. They didn't limit people's, like, they can't inhibit people. It's a free country, right? They can't actually be like, we're going to weld you in your house now. Go die in there. You can't have food.
Sure.
They can't do that, but what they did was very proper education, keeping everyone up to date, right?
Yeah.
Deis, thank you very much again. Cole, really appreciate what you do. Thanks a lot, guys. We need this. Keep up the good work. Thank you. American Fairy, thumbs up to you too. Sneller Sam, thanks. Hong Kong, appreciate it. ALE Land, would you consider collabs with Chinese ethnic YouTubers on spreading the message? Absolutely, and that would be a freaking amazing thing for us to do. So if you can put us in touch.
Of course we'd love to do that, and I actually have received plenty of private messages from actual ethnic Chinese YouTubers living in China, but they very blatantly say that they feed me information.
Of course.
Because they say, hey, listen, I want to talk about this, but I know there's that line that I just cannot cross.
Like, I support you, but I can't do it.
And it's like, I wish I could make a video with you, but I can't.
Right.
It makes sense.
No, I agree, but I guess my point is, if you know anyone that's willing to talk about stuff like that, we would absolutely love to.
Look, when we were in Vegas the other day, because, we went from Mexico all the way up to Vegas on our recent ADV trip, we actually ran into a Chinese subscriber, someone who lives in Vegas, and he moved there a couple of years ago. And he also was just saying how he agrees with what we do. But you have to understand, someone like that can't put themselves on camera with us.
No.
Because they still have family and friends in China, and they could be in danger if they were associated with anyone who criticizes the fiesta, whatever you call that thing.
The communal fiesta.
The communal fiesta, the thing.
Of the Middle Kingdom.
Right. They can't be seen with someone like that. So it just shows you how much reach they have. Sure. If you've got someone who's got a lot of courage, is willing to come and join us and spread the message, absolutely.
Right. All right, last two here. Sorry, JPN again. Thank you. Even more worse, that racist angle. People are still trying to get rid of the Modelo bug and going to crowded places like conservative rallies. Yeah, I mean, like, people should just be avoiding any sort of thing like that at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, and again, like, I saw some bad stuff about how, like, religious figures in all religions, it was Muslims, Christians, Catholics, all these people. It's fine, like, still go to church. We'll be safe,
Well, because they've got a lot of faith.
Right.
And they believe that their faith will protect them.
But faith is going to hurt you in this point.
It doesn't always work that way. Maybe it will protect you in the afterlife or something, and you did a good
depending
thing.
on your beliefs. But again, like, you got to deal with basic facts at this point.
Absolutely.
Right? Dion Chapman, thank you for the last one. We got here, Australia only banned Italy after the F1 teams got here. Well, I guess they wanted the F1 race to keep going.
Well, they're going to stay.
I want to say thank you to everyone that supported me in this. Also, everyone that just watched in general. We're not enjoying covering this type of thing, and I don't like being right about it. Neither of us do. We hope it blows over with minimal casualties. We
Correct.
hope that everyone out there is safe. Stay safe. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to cover it in a different angle. We have a lot of different information.
Yeah, we've got a big one tomorrow, so please join us on ADV Podcasts tomorrow.
I'll put a link in the pinned description, so you can actually go to there and sub if you haven't. Go check out our stuff in ADV China as well. And Winston's going to have you're going to have a live stream as well on Friday?
Yep, absolutely.
Go check out Serpent ZA on Friday, where he'll be covering a totally different aspect of the same topic as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much, Laowinners. I'll catch you on the next one.